Okay. So for all of the things that I do well, being Terrence Lamont and this being We Are Valuable Media, I also find that there are things that I know that I do well, and for some reason I still have some kind of concern or fear or worry with bringing them out, with operating in the space of this success. And so I find myself in a state of success right now. And it's a strange place to be at times. Because I think that there's going to be something come up later, that I'm not gonna like. It's going to come to an end. The success is going to come to an end because nothing lasts forever, or some other silly way of thinking about life that is not fruitful, but it is attractive. And so I fall into it. And I think a lot of us do that. I think there's a way that the mission that we're on in our lives can get subverted. We can miss out on actually aligning with the truth of who we really are. And so there's tools in the world to assist us to move through these processes, these problems, these issues, these difficulties. There's tools, there's opportunities and teachers and books. And one of these things is intuitive reports. They are Akashic readings, or readings that come from an even deeper part of mind than the Akashic Records. Whereas the Akashic Records deal with the physical, there are more ways to receive information from the mind. And so when you can go deeper in mind, then you find that they are more divorced from the physical reality. So let's take astral projection, for instance. You can astral project in the physical world, and someone can see you with physical eyes if they're clairvoyant. They can witness you. They could hear you if they are clairaudient. And so I'm clairaudient. And there are many times where people have messed with me, or I've heard something um, and I didn't see in the physical world where it could be coming from. And so I know that a lot of those times that was when someone was astral projecting, because I could even, sometimes they would even do physical things, touch me. And then those are also possibly to have been experiences with disincarnate entities, or uh, entities that are alien to the planet. So the intuitive reports are like I said, they're Akashic readings, and the Akashic Records is found uh, in a deep level of mind, in the subconscious mind. And again, there's deeper levels of mind. So, what we're going to do today is experience something that came from a deeper level of mind, but is an intuitive report. And this is totally unprofessional, obviously, but it's very valuable, and it's real, and it's true, and it's in the present moment. So, this is called a creative mind report. This was produced, created by the School of Metaphysics, developed by the School of Metaphysics. And this is a report that is about me. Now, this report comes from what we term as the third level of mind. And the third level of mind, again, is deeper and more closely related to the continuation of life and experience, the spirit, which is even more divorced from the physical reality than the soul. So it's deeper, it's deep, right? And so when you go deep into the mind, you keep releasing the physical more and more, but you still stay within some kind of physical presence. So people can still talk and they can still hear, even though they're experiencing the depths of subconscious mind. Most channeled material is coming from entities that are operating within the subconscious mind, but they aren't this deep. Most. Some of it, I would say, probably is coming from the third level mind, but even deeper, maybe. But most of it is actually coming from something that's more dense. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is read this report because it's super fascinating and super interesting, and I think that y'all will love it. And I'd like to hear what you have to say about it, how you see it. Some people who may or may not know me may have some thoughts that they want to share, and this is good stuff. So here we go. Creative Mind Report. The date that this was given was 10/1/2021, and it was performed again by two people within the School of Metaphysics for my benefit. It says, you will have immediately before you the essence of the entity referred to as Terence Lamont Bellows. You will examine this one's consciousness relating the present state of the creative mind. We see this to be instigation. We see this one does instigate ideas within the self and then bring them out into the physical. We see this one does instigate new ideas within others, does impale others through this one's own abilities, this one's strength of mind, this one's own mental power to aid others to add to themselves in new ways. It is in this one's thoughts that this one does this, in this one's actions, in this one's challenging of the self and of others. This one is challenging at times in a way that can be very beneficial. When this one does become challenging for the sake of being heard or to challenge rules or practices that this one believes are unfair or unjust, we see that this one does waste the energies of this one's own creative mind. It is when this one does instigate newness within this one's own life, does instigate a higher way of thinking that will aid others to realize truths, that this one can be most effective in using the creativity. We see that this one need not fight or overpower others. This instigation can be for this one's own best interest and for the best interest of others, and can be very highly given. When others in the environment are experiencing limitation, this one can aid them to create new thoughts that will aid them to move to the next level of their understanding. And this one can do this within the self as well. And this one does take steps to instigate the next step in this one's own evolution, which is very beneficial to this one. This one can be very inviting with the thoughts that this one does present, with the activities that this one does engage in, and be a model for others to want to replicate or respond to. And this is very enlightening for others as well. This is all. You will also relate that which will foster a movement within the energy exchange between the ethereal and material for the cultivation of genius. Let me read that again. You will also relate that which will foster a movement within the energy exchange between the ethereal and the material for the cultivation of genius. This is live. We see that this one can reach deep within the self, can reach deep within the mind to know the self, to claim I am in a very powerful way. And we see when this one does this, this one can draw upon energies that will follow all through mind. When this one is aligned, when these energies are conflicting or out of alignment, out of accord, this one can cause fights or instigate issues with others. This one needs to be high-minded, as this one draws out of the self who this one is in the most beneficial ways, for these energies to flow all the way into the physical and be placed into this one's creations, this one's marvelous creations. This is all. This one says suggestions for creating and providing healing sound in accord with sacred geometry. Would suggest that this one does resonate very easily through this one's voice and through this one's healing capabilities. It is not seen how the geometry is at play at this time, however. This one can instigate new experiences with sacred geometry, with all kinds of geometry. For example, sitting under a pyramidal structure or form or moving into spaces physically that are tight, are wide open, or holding structures, geometric structures within the palms, placing crystalline forms upon the body, and identifying what energies can be used, and then taking that to the next level so this one may understand those forms and how this one relates to them. We recognize that there is power in this one to connect and align with structures. When this one moves into a building, for this one to experience through the stillness of this one to align with that structure and the purpose of that structure, we see this would be one form of use of geometry in terms of the physical. He says suggestions for energizing and causing expansion within the school of metaphysics to reach those who need what we teach. This would be in knowing the self as a powerful being, as a powerful magnetic force for change, that this one does know the self to be this. We see that at times this one does doubt this. It is in the expectation that this one creates with certainty, with security within the self. And each time this one moves into the center for this one to bring that knowing with the self, that others want what is taught in the school of metaphysics, that others need this, others want this and want to be with him, want to be in this one's presence. We see that this would aid this one to realize who this one is as a powerful, attractive, magnetic being. This is all. He asked for adequate steps for learning rebirthing, for being a rebirther. Would suggest that this one go through the process with a teacher, for this one to humbly receive the teachings of another, for this one to put aside the criticism or the judgment at times of both how this one is learning and how the other is teaching. Will suggest for this one to receive fully, to breathe fully, to sit with others in quiet with a still mind, and to mentally connect with those that this one is serving. Rather than thinking, this one can draw forth to this one's own consciousness or to another's and use this rather forcefully. For this one to be still and allow whom this one is aiding to bring forth what this one needs to see within the self, and for this one to merely receive what he receives. There is a great deal of aggressiveness. The instigation would be in instigating a still state of mind and a connection with others. We see that these are very important steps for this one. This one can formulate the plan as this one sees necessary and a time frame that this one desires. This one does need to imagine a completion date and a capacity to do the rebirthing. The time frame would give this one motivation to move toward that rapidly. This is all. This one says suggestions for creating a movement for peace within the self and for others. This would begin with a still mind. This would begin with being present with others, much as a counselor, and sitting, standing, moving in stillness with another, for it is this quality of peace this one does desire and is challenging for this one when this one becomes over aggressive with the mind, with the active mind. This one need not force or expect a certain outcome. This one need only be in the present moment with a still mind and receive this. This is all. So, there are a couple of points there that were not flattering. The over aggressiveness, the possibility of being challenging just to challenge or just to be heard because I think something's unfair or unjust. Those two. And there was another one where they emphasized it being over aggressive a couple of different times. And so this is coming from what you can call the keepers of the records, which are entities who are responsible for allowing information within the Akashic Records to be received by other entities, mostly humans. And so they make a decision. So that's who the we is. The we is those who are present within mind, who don't have physical presence anymore, in conjunction and connection with the one who was speaking, which was not me, it was a different person. It was two different people. One person was asking questions and one person was answering those questions. And so those were the two individuals. We called them an Intuitive Reports Partnership within the School of Metaphysics. And these reports are valuable because they give me an opportunity to see myself from that kind of a third party individual perspective, with a greater sense of awareness and a empty colander or filter, where there's not a bunch of conscious mind activity within the one who is speaking, because she has stilled her mind. Similar to what people call channeling. It's not channeling, but it's very similar. It's this person just being able to move their attention deeply within mind with the aid of the first person who is asking the questions and giving the commands. And again, it's for my benefit. And it actually is for their benefit too, because they're clearing karma by being of service. And so for me to know those things now about myself, the way that I know them, the way that I heard them, the way that I understand them, by hearing it in that report, it really gives me an opportunity to pause, to recognize, to realize, to elevate, to consider, to be more purposeful, to align myself with what is being given there, and to know how, for instance, to go about being a rebirther. So this is 3 years on. You might be asking yourself, how am I, or, I'm sorry, 2 years, well, almost 3 years. It's December 2023. But that was done in October, so October 2021. So nearly crossed over to 3 years, but not quite. But this is time passed from that. So what did I do? How did I use that report? Well, I became much less aggressive. I've been witnessing and understanding how to be more easy, more slow, more receptive to other people, what's going on in the world, to just listen more, to know when to act and when to wait, when to present my own ideas, when to listen for others, when to listen inwardly so that I can hear the call that is spirit speaking to me, so that I know that there's a differentiation between my own highest potential, my own highest self, my own creative inward knowledge, spirit, and that which is present within. Just as are the keepers of the records, there are other entities that are present within the universal mind. And so those entities can make contact with me anytime that I am receptive and I can still my mind as it urged me. And so I've been doing that, and I've been receiving more, hearing more clearly, specific steps to take, things to say, to assist others, to enlighten myself, to keep that process moving and rolling. So it's been very successful, very much something that I needed. It's something that I've been using, and I continue to receive reports, and I also myself am becoming I'm creating a partnership again. I've already done that once, and so I'm doing it again in order for me to be able to have the experience of entering into the inner levels of consciousness, to be a person who brings out that information for others as well. So there's a great deal of balance going on, a great deal of high quality information, and I used obviously what it said that I needed to change, and I also used what it said that I was doing well. The fact that I can claim I am very powerful within myself. I've been using this information to my advantage, to the advantage of my students, to the advantage of my business partners, and to the advantage of most everyone that I come in contact with, and also allowing that energy to move through me so that I don't necessarily have to speak to or contact people in order to benefit them. So, thank you for listening. God bless you. This is Terrence Lamont. This is We Are Valuable Media. Remember, I want you to exist more then I want you to breathe.